Hello, my name is Noreen and I'm a reference librarian at La Crosse Public Library. This video is meant to show you how to request materials through the catalog and to give you an overview of the electronic resources that are available on our website that can help you with your historical research. First, though, I want to talk a little bit about primary sources. Anytime you're doing historical research, the closer you can get to an event or person, the better your research is. So a primary source is as close as you can get. A record left by someone who was a participant in an event or a witness to that event. Since you're researching people, anything created by your subject or created by someone who knew them and witnessed the events they were involved in would be considered a really good primary source. The types of materials you want to look for would include video or audio recordings of your subject, still photos, portraits, autobiographies, letters, diaries, journals, and interviews. Okay, let me share my screen and we'll start with the catalog. Okay, so the library's website is lacrosselibrary.org. If you Google La Crosse Library, it should start popping up. And you can get to it that way. You will need a library card in order to check out materials. So if you don't have one yet, check out our e-card page. Just mouse over services and under account and borrowing, the e-card is right there. You can get a card and then you can request materials online and then pick them up in the library. We are also open for browsing, so you can come into the library and find materials on the shelf as well. Okay, let's start with the catalog then. You can search the catalog just by clicking in this box up at the top and typing in your subject. So let's look for Alexander Hamilton and see what we can find. So there are about 30 libraries in a 7-county area that are included in our catalog. So not everything is going to be here at this library. If you want to see just what's available here, you can do that by using these refine by options along the side. Go down to collection and click on more, and then look for La Crosse Public Maine and click on apply, and you should see only the things that are here in this library. I do want to point out one of the things that pops up then is actually an online record to the Alexander Hamilton papers, which is on the web. It's part of a government document collection that we make available through the website. And so if you clicked in through there, that would be an excellent, excellent primary source for this topic. So if I wanted to request Alexander Hamilton, The Making of America, I'm just going to click on the Request It button. It's going to ask me to log in with my library barcode. That's the long number that's on the back of your library card, and your PIN, which we usually set up as the last 4 digits of your phone unless you ask for something else when you log in. Once you do that, then you just make a few more clicks and the item is on hold for you and you'll get a notification when it's ready. The other thing that you can do from the catalog here, if you click over into the articles tab, this is going to search a subset of the Badgerlink databases. Badgerlink is the website that the state has created that has a number of e-resources that are available to everyone in the state. A little bit later, I'm going to talk about some things that are only available to people who live in the city of La Crosse unless they come into the library. But these should be available to all of you from anywhere. And so you can see just searching for Alexander Hamilton gives us over 19,000 results, so a ton of results. And you're probably going to need to narrow that down in some way, whether by dates or adding keywords. So if you want to look at one of these articles, you can click on this link off to the side, and there are a couple of different options. You will see some of them that say PDF. That's an image file that is exactly as it appeared in the magazine. Full text would be just the text from that article. And if there were any photographs or other diagrams or anything else like that that were included in the article, they would not be included. Okay, so once you have kind of exhausted the possibilities in the catalog, you might want to do some preliminary research on the internet. And if you just type in your, if you just Google your topic, a lot of you have probably done this already, but just to give you an idea, we get something from nobelprize.org. You will quite often find a Wikipedia article. I do not recommend using Wikipedia as a source. I have a feeling your teacher probably would agree with that. However, it's not a bad place to start if you don't know that much about the topic yet. It's going to give you a lot of details, dates, and names of other people that were associated with your topic that are going to be a help when you get to things like the big newspaper databases, where you really need to narrow down your search to get at things that are going to be useful. The other thing about a Wikipedia article, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there should be a list of references and maybe a bibliography. Okay, in this case, further reading. And look at the first thing on the list of further reading is a book by Marie Curie. So there you go, primary source. If we don't happen to have this title in our library, we can probably get it for you on interlibrary loan. That's another thing. If you are going to do an interlibrary loan and request something from outside our system, it is going to take some time. So you're going to want to do that soon. Okay, other resources on the website, e-resources. If you go back to the main page and kind of mouse over the research tab, you'll see about halfway down here, there's something labeled National History Day. You guys aren't doing National History Day projects, but it's still historical research, so it still applies. We've kind of gathered together the useful resources for history research on this page. And the first three that are listed here are some of those databases that are paid for by La Crosse Public Library. If you don't happen to live in the city of La Crosse, you're not going to be able to access those from outside the library. So you might want to come in and use one of our computers to do that. Other resources that are listed here are either Badgerlink resources or they're things that are available just free on the web to anyone. I'm going to talk a little bit first about some of these links in this last grouping here. There's a ton of primary source material that you can find online. We started doing tours for kids working on National History Day projects about 15 years ago. And at that point, if you didn't know that University X or Museum Y had the papers belonging to your subject, you wouldn't have a clue that they were even out there. In the last 15 years, libraries and museums have done a ton of work digitizing resources and making them available for free on the web. So let's look at the Digital Public Library here. And let's just try Rosa Parks here and see what we can find. And you can kind of get an idea by looking at the list here. It's 280 images, so still images, 185 references in text, 33 moving images, so video of some kind, some sound files, even some physical objects. And all of this material is primary sources. So those things created either by Rosa herself or by people who were close to her that can give you a really good handle on your subject. All right. Next, I'm going to kind of concentrate on these databases that you might, if you don't live in the city of La Crosse, you might have to come into the library to access these. American National Biography is kind of a starting place. It doesn't get down deep and it's not a primary source, but it is going to give you some of that material just to kind of get you started. And if let's use Rosa Parks again as an example. What you get is a biography that is anywhere from about 4 to 10 pages long, and all the kind of the highlights of her life. There is a bibliography at the end, so information that you know on how to find other books and resources. Quite often, primary source material, they do reference her papers in a particular archives. So that's a starting place. The second one here, Reader's Guide Retrospective, is an index to older magazines. One of the things that we have here at the library is an almost complete collection of old Life magazines, which is a great resource for pictures. So if you want to add a picture or something to spice up your topic, and it falls anywhere in between about 1930 and 1970, then Life would be a good place to look. So if we look for Jackie Robinson, and you can see we've got about 78 results. If I want to see if there's anything in Life particularly, I can go down here to publication, and sure enough, there are some references to Life magazine. The magazines are old and kind of fragile. So if you do find something here, you would need to come into the library and ask us to pull the magazine for you. We don't check them out anymore because they are kind of fragile, but we do have a scanner. You can make a copy of any pictures that you need while you're here. And scanning is free, so that's not a problem. All right, the last one here is the first of our big newspaper databases. So Access Newspaper Archive has newspapers from all over the world, although the bulk of it is US newspapers. They go back into the 1600s, so way far back. And if we click on the search tab, Let's use George Washington as an example. We're going to put in first name and last name. Now, you can imagine that with the name George Washington, there are probably many, many other people with the same name. And so if you just searched for that, you probably are going to get way more than you want to wade through. So what we're going to do is add dates that will help narrow that down. And because we want those primary sources, we want the things that are going to be close to the time period when you know, that he was around. So what we're going to do is 1750, beginning of the year, to 1799, which is the year that he died. At the end of the year. So we've got 721. That's still kind of a lot to wade through. And you might want to try adding other keywords to narrow it down. You can see here there are a few references in other papers. You might want to limit it to just papers in the United States. You can also narrow those dates more specifically if you wanted to talk about George Washington just as the years that he was general of the army, of the Continental Armies, then you could narrow it down to a more specific set of years and get a little bit more focused set of results. I just want to show you, if we click into one of these results, what you get, taking a while to load up, is a whole page of the paper. It will highlight your search terms. And if you want to make a copy of just a part of an article, there are tools up here along the top that will help you do that. The little clipping tool is probably the most useful. And if you need some help with that, you are welcome to come into the library or use the chat function, anything like that, to help get some help from us. Okay, let me back up. I am going to say if you've used the articles tab in the catalog, then you have searched most of the resources in this middle group here. The exception is newspapers.com, which is like Access Newspaper Archive in that it's a huge, huge newspaper database. Very similar in focus, just has different newspapers in it. So if you are using those resources, you find that the newspaper articles are getting you the kind of information that you need, I would urge you to use both of them. That's pretty much it. I just want to say, please don't hesitate to ask questions. You are welcome to use the chat box here anytime that we're open. We're open 10 to 6, Monday through Saturday, and there's always someone at the reference desk who can answer questions via chat. We also have phone and email, and you're welcome to use either one of those as well. If you've got any questions, please let us know. Thank you.